it is time for me to answer the dreaded question from a racer's point of view, from my own point of view. Will this little pump be eliminating CO2s in my cycling forever? The answer is, when the first version of this AS2 pump first came out, I was super excited about it. But after reading and doing some research on my own, I felt that there was a few key features that were missing, but that is no longer the case with this newer version, the AS2 Pro. I had the pleasure of using this pump for about 3 months now, and I am very impressed. This pump has some amazing capabilities for such a small little unit. And I also found some limitations with it, which we will talk about in this video, and I guess as well as some features that I would love to see implemented on its newer version, maybe in the future. I want to talk to you guys during this video from 3 different points of view, and that is from your everyday cyclist, somebody who maybe doesn't even own an expensive road bike and just solely rides their bike just to stay fit. Second will be your amateur cyclist, and by amateur I mean somebody who's doing long rides. He goes out, he does group rides, and then also will occasionally go and do just a random race, maybe once or twice a year. And then also the third one, which will include the first 2 of course, will be your typical racer, somebody who's just solely focused on performance, somebody who does structured training, long training rides on the weekends, and somebody who goes out and races. And that will be from a 50-minute crit to a 2-hour road race to a 200-mile, 10.5-hour race at Unbound to finish second. So hopefully by the end of this video, if you're thinking about this pump, if you've been considering it, hopefully I'll help you make up your mind and decide whether this product is for you. But more importantly, we will answer the dreaded question when electronic pump inflators or tire inflators come up. Will this eliminate CO2s in cycling forever? All right, so before we talk about my experience with the pump, let me show you guys exactly what's in the box. So there is a little manual there. So this is exactly what you're gonna get if you order one of these. You get the pump itself, and it does come with this rubber cover because it does get pretty hot, so you want to make sure you put that on there before you use it. The longer you use it, the hotter it gets. You also get this waterproof bag, which you can put the pump in and then put it in your pocket. I really haven't seen the need for that. I haven't used it at all, but it is there if you think you'll need it. And then you get this other little bag here, which comes with a USB-C charger, which is pretty cool. This pump uses USB-C, so it charges super quick, which we'll talk about a little bit later. This right here is going to be really important as well. We'll talk about it a little bit further into the video. And then you also get just some spare parts, some O-rings, and that's to inflate a ball. If you want to do that, you can do that as well, but that is pretty much everything that you get in the box. CycPlus claims that you should get about 3 tire inflations per fully charged pump, and that has been exactly my case for the past 3 months that I've been using this pump. And now keep in mind that is going to change. If you're one of those riders that pumps up its tires to 110, 115 PSI, no idea who's still doing that in 2024, but if you are, then that's probably going to change how many inflations you're gonna get out of your pump. But for you guys to have a better idea, I'll throw this chart on the screen right now from their website, and that should tell you, depending on your tire width, how many inflations you're expected to get, as well as how long it should take to inflate that tire. Has been very accurate for myself. I run tubeless tires. I run 30mm tubeless tires. I run 53 PSI on the front, 58 PSI in the rear, and I can get normally about 3.5 inflations out of a fully charged pump. So like I said, I'm very happy with that. Remember back to the beginning of the video where I said there's a few key features on this pump that were not on the previous version that make it so much more appealing, at least for myself. And this LCD screen right here is definitely one of them. So there's 3 buttons right here in front of the pump. To turn it on, you want to hold the top one. And that first number that you're going to see right there, that is the pressure set point. That is the pressure that this pump will pump up your tires to. And it will remember that set point. If you always pump up your tires to 50, it would always be at 50 every time you turn it on. It will be ready to go. These 3 bars down here are your battery life. And this number that it currently reads 0, once you put it into your tire, it would actually tell you your tire pressure within plus or minus 1%, which is incredible. This right here is just game changing for me. When I go out and ride, for example, my gravel bike and I feel that I have too much air, like I'll just have to let air out without actually knowing what I have on the tire. Well, that is no longer the case with this super accurate pressure gauge. A few other key features that are now on this pump and not in its previous one is an upgraded motor, longer battery life, but more important, it now uses USB-C charging, which is incredible. It means that this pump can go from 0 to 100% in less than 30 minutes. And I have tested that multiple times for myself. Like I said, I've been using this for 3 months and it charges so quickly. So if you woke up one morning and you weren't sure if your pump was fully charged or if it was completely dead, you can go plug this in, and by the time you go, you have breakfast, you get kitted up, you get ready to go out the door, this will either be at 100% or very close. Talking about Tubeless brings me straight into the first issue that I found in the time that I've been using this pump. Now, I don't know if I could really blame that on the pump itself, but nonetheless, it's an issue that I found. I have contacted CycPlus because I wish there was a feature here that would help mitigate that problem, and I'll talk about that in a little bit here. But the issue is, for us using Tubeless, we know how annoying it is when the tubeless sealant plugs up the valve. So what happens is, like I showed you guys earlier, this pump has a pressure PSI, which is 50, and it'll pump up the tire to 50 and it'll shut off on its own. So what happens is when that valve is clogged, you put this on, you turn it on, it just automatically goes to 50 and the pump shuts off, thinking that it reached the PSI. The pump is actually doing what it's supposed to. I guess that means that us as riders, we need to make sure that if we're using this electric pumps, and I'm sure it'll be the same with any other pump as well, not just this one, we need to make sure that the actual tire valves are clean. Now, what I wish the pump had was an option that, so the only way that I found that the workaround for this, and I contacted CycPlus, and they're considering, and hopefully there's something we can do for future versions of this. But the only way that I could get this to work right now, and maybe you already have one and you're having the same issue, what I have to do is, oh, I just turned it on. What I have to do is I have to make sure to set this all the way up to 120 psi, which is the max pressure this pump will do, and then use the pressure reading itself while I was pumping up the tire, and then that way I'll just take it out whenever it reaches that 53 psi front or 58 psi rear. Now, what I wish there was an option was that, let's say you tap this once, it reaches pressure, you tap it again, and the pump will just continually run until I shut it off myself, rather than me having to spend time there trying to go up on the PSI, and then when I'm done, bringing it all the way down. But like I said, I don't know if I could blame that on the pump. I'm sure that would be the same on pretty much all the pumps. I just wish, like I said, there was that option that I could just, instead of pressing it once to turn it on, I'll just hold it, and then the pump will just continually run until I shut it off, rather than shutting itself off once it gets to that pressure PSI set on there. Obviously, I know that Tubeless is not for everybody. I posted a video on the channel, and a lot of you guys were not a fan of Tubeless, and a lot of you guys are not switching to Tubeless, which I completely get. That is completely fine. I have tested this pump as well on tubes, and if you're running something like latex inner tubes or TPU tubes, those are very fragile. I do have some things that I want to share with you guys, and as you can see, so this is how you get the pump. You put it into the valve itself when you pump it up. Now this right here is metal. Now this one has a valve extender because it was on a deep dish rim, but if it was here and you're pumping it up right here, you're really close to the inner tube itself. And this pump, there's a reason why it comes with the silicone case, and that is because it gets really hot. So for tubes, what I would love to do, remember in the beginning of the video, I talked about this little attachment right here. This is your best friend if you're using tubes. I don't think butiles will be a problem, but this does get really hot. And I noticed that the valve itself gets really hot, especially when you're filling up the tire from close to 0 psi to like whatever you're using when you use an inner tube, maybe 60, 65. So this attachment right here, it's your friend. And what I like about it is that you don't have to remove the one that's already on there. All you're gonna do is just grab this one and it just threads right into it. This will thread into the tube, and that will make it so that, so this is rubber right here, so the heat will not go from the pump to your tube. And honestly, if I was using tubes, actually I have a latex inner tube on this bike right here, so that's what I do if I'm pumping up that bike. So this rubber is going to keep the heat away from this pump. I mean, like I said, there's a reason why it has a silicone cover, because it gets really, really hot. So I will definitely use this anytime I'm trying to fill up inner tubes. I think butyls you'll probably be fine, but for something like lake tests and TPU tubes, I'll definitely be using this attachment. And to be honest, it's not even that hard to carry. You can even throw it on the side of the pump itself and just put it into your bag. I feel like another key feature of this pump is how tiny it is. I mean, I do have pretty big hands, but it is not very big at all, and that is a key feature. If you remember in the beginning of the video, I said that I took this for a week-long trip to California when I went and raced a C02’s Classic. And let me show you guys, this pump right here is what I would normally use, or I still use, to pump up my tires at home before I leave, or I'll carry this every time I'll go to a quick race. Anywhere I go, I have to carry this in my bag. And look how much more space this thing will take in your bag compared to this. Now, also, this right here is a lithium battery. You are not allowed to travel in a plane with a lithium battery. That is the first thing they ask when you bring your bike back and you turn it in at the airport. The first thing they ask you is, do you have lithium batteries in there? So you're not allowed to travel with that. And if I'm being honest, I don't even own a floor pump. So this is what I brought to California when I travel out there. If I would have had the Pro Plus as well, that would have been the ideal setup, because this one, you make sure that it's always charged, is on your bag, make sure you never forget it, and then you can use the Pro Plus to make sure your tires are pumped up before you leave. So having both of those, I know it is a lot of money. I don't have both of them. Like I said, I haven't even used the other one, but I feel like that would be like an ideal setup. If money wasn't an issue, I feel like that would be an ideal setup. One, to pump up the tires at home, and this one stays in your bag. Make sure that you don't forget it. And another thing is, when I travel to Unbound, to race Unbound, you are not allowed to have CO2 cartridges on the plane either. TSA would open up your bag and take those out. So you either have to order them and get them delivered to the place that you're staying at, or you will have to buy them once you get to your destination. And like I said, having this is just incredible. Every time I was out there, I wasn't worried about getting a flat or not having CO2s on me. So that's another plus for this little thing. All right, so by now you can probably tell that I'm a big fan of this little guy, and it is time for me to answer the dreaded question from a racer's point of view, from my own point of view. Will this little pump be eliminating CO2s in my cycling forever? And unfortunately, the answer is no. I don't know if that was the answer that you were expecting, but it will not completely eliminate CO2s from my cycling, but it will definitely reduce it big time. And I'm going to explain why. So let's use Unbound 200 for example, which I was at this year. Unfortunately, I didn't have a flat, but let's use that race as an example. So let's say I'm in the lead group and I get a pinch flat, or I have to fill up my tire because it's losing air for whatever reason. So by the time I get this pump out of my bag, hold this button in, wait for the pump to turn on, make sure it's set at the right PSI, turn it on, put it away. That could mean that I would never be able to get back to that group. And especially nowadays, we have, I don't have mine here with me, but I'll put a picture on the screen. And nowadays we have these amazing setups where the CO2 is already on the actual plug that you're going to put into the tire, and at the same time that you're plugging your tire, you're filling it up. You don't even have to plug anything into the valve itself, and that could mean that you could have that tire plugged and filled within 15 seconds, because that just sits on your seat post, just under your seat post. So before you even stop, you could already reach down, grab your CO2, have your plug ready to go, get off. So maybe not even like get off your bike if it's your front tire, plug it, fill it in at the same, you could literally be done within 10-15 seconds if you can see where the actual hole is. So unfortunately, this is not fast enough from a racer's point of view. And from a racer's point of view, I mean myself. Now, if you're still racing, you're still doing the event, and your goal is just to finish the event, then you could definitely just rely on this. 100%. You could have a CO2 just for spare in case this, malfunction happens, or you have to fill up more than the battery life for this. Then you also carry some CO2, but you go to this first so you're not just wasting CO2s for no reason. If you're just trying to finish the event, you don't care if you lose a minute. Now, for myself, obviously, no, I would not be using this in an actual gravel race, especially not an important one like Unbound or SBT, which I will be racing in about 2 weeks time. So unfortunately, no, it will not replace CO2s forever in my cycling, but it will 100% reduce the amount of CO2s that I will use. That is going to be it for this one, guys. I really hope I helped you guys make up your mind if you were thinking about picking one of these up for yourself. Unfortunately, at the time, I do not have a discount code for you guys, but I just generally enjoy having this product. I generally enjoy using it. I love products that, I love sharing things in this channel that I feel could help you guys in your own cycling, not just because a company sends me a product, I'm not going to just review it. I'm going to do it only if I genuinely believe in the product and I feel that the company has done a good job with it, and this is one of those products. So I am generally curious to know if you guys already own one of these, if you have used one of these, what are your thoughts on it, and do you think this could or has it replaced the usage of CO2s in your own cycling? I got a lot of cool videos coming, guys. I promise you I will be at SBT in about 2 weeks or so I hope to see some of you guys out there. If you see me, come say hi, and remember to smash that like button, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.